Nobel Prize winner dies at age 85.
First U.S. Ebola case mishandled. I'm Dan Kamppinen.
And I'm Hannah Schutzkus, and this is your Public Eye News. Health officials are starting to monitor any people who may have come into contact with the first Ebola patient here in the U.S. A federal official announced on Thursday that the number of people directly contacted by the patient is more than 12. However, a Dallas County Health and Human Services spokeswoman estimated the number was closer to 80. Each of the monitored individuals will be visited by a public health worker twice a day to ensure they develop no symptoms of the disease. None of the people being monitored have displayed symptoms so far. Michigan's Department of Natural Resources has given $1.1 million in grants to 20 conservation and nonprofit organizations. The grants, which were created using profit from the state's hunting and fishing license fees, will help improve habitats for game animals. DNR Wildlife Division Chief Russ Mason says, quote, "The program helps manage Michigan's woods and waterways and ensures there are quality hunting opportunities in the state," end quote. Hunting creates more than $2.3 billion for the state's economy. The money will go towards expanding wetlands and increasing food and shelter opportunities for white-tailed deer.
The Michigan State Police said that they collected 515.7 pounds of prescription drugs this past weekend on the 27th. MSP partnered with the DEA and other local law enforcement agencies and provided a safe and convenient venue for citizens to dispose of their unwanted drugs. This service was free and anonymous with no questions asked. The Post in Iron Mountain collected 30 pounds of prescriptions, Negaunee and Sault Ste. Marie collected 8 pounds, and Pawpaw collected 5.1 pounds. The vote for marijuana legalization won't appear on the ballot this November in Lansing. The Lansing State Journal reports that Ingham County Clerk Barb Berman announced this decision on Wednesday. She said that the addition would cost the state thousands and the absentee ballots were already sent out. East Lansing attorney Jeffrey Hank, who is leading the initiative to repeal the city's current policies and allow use, possession, and transfer between those who are 21 or older, submitted the necessary number of signatures in late July. Hank is protesting Barham's decision, saying that having to wait a year to vote will disenfranchise the members of the community.
Wisconsin's New Richmond School District fired school janitor Jay Flaherty after he was charged with sexually assaulting a schoolboy. Flaherty admitted to putting his hands on a young boy and forcing the child to touch him. His charges include repeated sexual assault of a child and first-degree sexual assault of a child. Flaherty faces up to 80 years in prison if convicted. In Ohio, prosecutors are attempting to pass a law that would keep the identity of pharmacies anonymous if they make specialized doses of lethal death penalty drugs. This would also grant protection to members of the state execution team and prohibit disciplinary action towards any doctor who consults with the state about the execution policy. A federal judge had previously put all executions in Ohio on hold until February due to raised concerns about the effectiveness of Ohio's drug process. And we'll be back with your national and international news after the break.
PBS Arts presents Jeff Bridges, Matthew McConaughey, Sheryl Crow, Willie Nelson, Emmylou Harris, Bonnie Raitt, Gary Clark Jr., and many more when they celebrate 40 years of Austin City Limits. PBS Arts presents Austin City Limits celebrates 40 years.
Friday evening at 9 on Public TV 13.
Welcome back. The Supreme Court has not taken action on appeals asking it to take up the appeals on same-sex marriage. These cases are among those that the court agreed to hear next week when its next session starts. The justices are expected to turn away hundreds of appeals cases on Monday, but it is believed that the same-sex cases will not be among those. The justices meet again in private on October 10th to consider new cases, and decisions should come on that day or on the 14th. Texas hospital officials are admitting they mishandled the first U.S. Ebola case, which may have potentially put more people at risk of exposure. CBS News correspondent Omar Villafranca reports from Dallas.
Some parents in Dallas say they won't send their kids to school today after hearing 5 students in the area are being monitored at home for signs of the Ebola virus. Health officials believe they're among 12 to 18 people who may have had contact with the first patient diagnosed with the disease in the U.S.
The students didn't have any symptoms, and so the odds of them passing on any sort of virus is very low.
Health officials are also monitoring the Ivy apartment complex. Paramedics transported the patient from an apartment there. He's been identified by CBS Dallas station KTVT as Thomas Eric Duncan.
It concerns us what's going on so the kids won't get sick and everybody.
Federal health officials are now trying to figure out why medical staff here at Texas Health initially released the infected patient when he first felt sick. Duncan originally went to the hospital on September 26, complaining of fever and abdominal pains, a week after flying in from Liberia. A nurse reading from an Ebola checklist asked if he had traveled from Africa. He answered yes, but was released anyway.
It's a key hallmark of a triage process is where have you been, along with having these symptoms, and how long have they been developing for.
Duncan was admitted to Texas Health 2 days later, where he remains in isolation. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Dallas.
1995 Nobel Prize-winning physicist Martin Pearl has died at the age of 85. Pearl was a scientist from Stanford University and won the Nobel Prize for discovering a subatomic particle known as the tau lepton. He was one of 2 American scientists who shared the Nobel Prize that year for physics. Pearl spent his life attempting to achieve a common understanding in the building blocks of matter, which he had hoped would lead to advancements in several fields, including alternative energy. And another virus besides Ebola is becoming a cause for concern across the country. Health officials say the enterovirus may have contributed to the deaths of at least 4 people, including a child in Rhode Island. CBS's Wendy Gillette reports from New York.
Crews wiped down classrooms at an elementary school in Cumberland, Rhode Island last night following the death of Emily Otrando. The 10-year-old was battling a rare combination of the illness known as enterovirus D68 and a staph infection when she died.
It is, from an infectious disease perspective, really a perfect storm.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says at least 4 patients with the virus have died. And there's another concern. Doctors at Children's Hospital of Colorado have treated 10 children with a respiratory illness and polio-like symptoms. A similar case of a child with partial paralysis was reported in Los Angeles yesterday.
What I've heard from my colleagues is that new cases are being diagnosed in San Francisco, in Alabama, in Boston, in Kansas City, St. Louis. So I think that as we are learning more about this, we are going to find that this is likely happening throughout the country.
Most of the time, the virus only causes symptoms of a common cold. Doctors are still trying to figure out if the virus is triggering the more serious problems. Wendy Gillette for CBS News, New York.
Standing inside of an apartment block in the heart of Seoul, former 2-star General Han Sung-chu of South Korea speaks of the residents, saying they have felt underground vibrations. Strange, because the subway doesn't run under that part of the city. He says dowsers have detected 3 tunnels 13 to 16 feet wide and 39 feet down. His team tried to drill 2 holes to try and lower cameras down, but before they could, they detected 2 explosions and their holes were blocked. Han is certain that the North Korean soldiers are working underground, protecting and building these tunnels. A former North Korean intelligence official said that the notion isn't as far-fetched as one would think. He said, quote, "I was told the tunnels were not connected to the streets of Seoul, as they would be too easy to detect," end quote. The South Korean government isn't taking this lightly and is currently working to combat the tunnels. And we'll be right back after your break with weather and sports.
Hi, I'm Jim Koski, the new host of High School Bowl on Public TV 13. For over 20 years, I've been playing games with people on the radio, and now I get to do the same thing on TV here at High School Bowl. Who's going to win this year? Who's going to walk away as the ultimate champs? sports? Well, you know how to find out, right? Join us Saturday nights at 8 for High School Bowl right here on Public TV 13.
And welcome back to your Public Eye News weather. I'm Lily Howder, and as you can see behind me, it is a pretty dreary day here at Northern Michigan University. Looking at your current conditions, it is currently cloudy with a temperature of 62 degrees, winds out of the southeast at 5 miles per hour, and a barometric pressure of 29.85 inches and steady. Tonight, it'll be rainy with a low of 53 degrees, winds out of the south-southeast at 6 miles an hour. And tomorrow, it'll be rainy with a high of 56 degrees, winds northwest at 15 miles per hour. Taking a look around the UP, it is currently 58 degrees in Sault Ste. Marie, 58 degrees and cloudy in Manistee. In Escanaba, it is 57 degrees and cloudy, and in Menominee, it is 57 degrees and cloudy. In Iron Mountain, it is currently 59 degrees and cloudy. In Ironwood, it is 59 degrees and cloudy. And in Houghton, it is currently 61 degrees and cloudy. And back here in Marquette, it is 62 degrees and cloudy. Taking a look ahead, on Saturday, we'll have a high of 45 degrees, a low of 38 degrees and rainy. Sunday, it'll be a high of 48 degrees, a low of 37 degrees and rainy. And Monday, we'll have a high of 49 degrees, a low of 39 degrees and rainy. So it's looking to be a pretty cloudy day here on Marquette. How's it looking in sports?
It's cloudy in sports as well. Detroit Tigers first baseman Miguel Cabrera refused to sign paperwork for a playoff bonus on Wednesday. The postseason bonus is allocated to players, support staff, and clubhouse attendants upon making the playoffs, and last year was worth $307,000. When asked why he wouldn't sign the bonus by teammate Victor Martinez, Cabrera said, quote, "I'm not signing anything, I just want the ring," unquote. Cabrera signed a 10-year, $292 million contract with the Tigers last offseason. He has won 2 MVP awards, but only 1 World Series ring in 2003. The Tigers begin their postseason on Thursday night against the Baltimore Orioles. University of Michigan quarterback Devin Gardner is being put into the starting lineup for Saturday's game against Rutgers. Gardner, a redshirt senior, has started in 16 consecutive regular season games before last week. Last week, after a lack of communication between athletic director Dave Brandon and coach Brady Hoke, quarterback Shane Morris was put into the starting lineup after he had been showing symptoms of a concussion. Coach Brady Hoke is taking full responsibility of the mishap and released a statement on Tuesday saying, quote, "When you're a leader, you have to take full responsibility. I take responsibility for our student athletes, and I take it for their health and welfare," unquote. The Wolverines take on Rutgers this Saturday night in New Jersey. Dallas Cowboys safety C.J. Spillman is being investigated in connection with an alleged sexual assault. The assault allegedly occurred September 20th at the Gaylord Hotel the day before the Cowboys played the St. Louis Rams. Spillman has reportedly cooperated fully in the investigation, although there has been no immediate response from his agent. NFL spokesman Greg Aiello said Thursday the league has been, quote, "looking into the matter and will continue to do so," unquote. So, Dan, you have a story about roast beef?
I do. It's a strange one out of New York. And I'm just wondering, is that roast beef in your pants, or are you just happy to leave the store without paying? Police in New York say a supermarket employee is accused of trying to leave the store with $1,200 of roast beef stuffed down his pants. Gregory Rodriguez is charged with 4th-degree grand larceny, and the spokeswoman from the store said that the theft occurred all in one day, but doesn't know if it took more than one trip. And some people don't worry about the bean counters at their companies getting on their case for their expense reports. But what if you run up a $250,000 tab at the local strip club? A former TD Bank executive has been sentenced to 18 months in prison for exactly that. The Portland Herald reports that Jeffrey Burnham racked up a bill on strippers and champagne, which he said he needed for stress relief.
Talk about a night on the town.
Yeah, I'd hope that was more than just one night, though.
That's crazy, $250,000?
And that's all the time we have for you today with Public Eye News. Have a great rest of your day and tune in tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center.